Yes, I will be talking a little bit about what happens when you open a web page. This is part of beginning of learning about Node.js. But to begin with, let's get a little bit of an intuition for what the internet is and what happens when you go to a website. So, what happens when you go to a website? Let's say that you are here and you're sitting on your laptop, and we go to a web page like hackyourfuture.dk. So what actually happens when we load this page here? Well, what happens is that our laptop, it sends off a request, and it's a request to get some kind of data. So your laptop sends off a request, and what we're saying is that we would like to load the hackyourfuture.dk site. Now, with the hackyourfuture.dk site, that's actually not where the server that will take in the request is kind of stored. So all servers, they have kind of like an address, just like we have with real houses, but these addresses are not the domain name, they are not the URL. They are an IP address, and an IP address is exactly like a real address, just kind of online. It's an identifier for a specific server. So so what happens is that I send a request saying I would like to go to hackyourfuture.dk. This request goes to a DNS. And what is a DNS? A DNS is like a record of it's linking a domain name to an IP address. So what the DNS says, it says, well, Benjamin, I can see that you would like to load hackyourfuture.dk. So I guess you would like to know the IP address for that website, right? Of course I will. Then it'll go through all these records and check, oh, hackyourfuture.dk, oh, that was stored at IP address 34.242.185.160, and it'll tell that to so the DNS will tell that this is the IP that you're looking for, and now the request will continue into the internet and get routed to the server that is running hackyourfuture. And the server that is running hackyourfuture is running at this IP address. So we send a request to hackyourfuture.dk, that gets translated into an IP address, and now the request can be sent to the server. Now the server gets the request in here, and it starts processing this request. Maybe it's doing some things, and it can do a lot of different things. When it's done with processing the request, then it'll send back a response to the laptop. And the laptop will get this response, and then it'll start rendering a page, for example. So it goes like when you load a page. You send a request, you get a response. You send a request to a server, you get a response. And we can actually see this happening. If we go to hackyourfuture.dk here and press F12 or right click and inspect element, then we can go to this network tab that shows all the different requests that is being sent from our from our laptop to the server. So we'll try and load it, and here we see there's lots of different requests being sent. Some of them are for images, some of them are for styling, some of them are for all different kind of things. But we'll just take the first one. We'll go into the headers, close down these two, and then we can see that we are sending a request to hackyourfuture.dk. We're sending it off. The DNS says this is the IP address where the server that hosts hackyourfuture lives. And then the server will send back a response regarding to that request. And we can see the response here in text. It's HTML. And it, yeah, so there's a lot of HTML, and that rendered will look like this, which is of course the hackybeauty.dk website. So that's kind of how it works when we send off when we load a web page on the internet.